Hello and welcome to my tutorial guide sort of thing for playing as and against Arty. This is recent of patch 9.6. I mean, if SPGs get majorly changed in the future, then this will change. So yes, let's get into it. Now, the first thing we should probably cover, like before anything else, is hitting the target. Now, you can see in this picture, I have my aiming reticle aimed behind the IS-7, as in, like, my shell will actually travel through the IS-7. It's because the shells are not vertical. They're going to land, like, they're gonna hit through that line. So if your line goes through the enemy tank, you're gonna hit the tank. So you can hit the side and the middle of the tank by aiming on the other side of the tank. It actually makes it more of a chance that you're gonna hit the tank. I'm also in this picture aiming for his engine and fuel tanks. So I mean that's more of an advanced thing as Arty, is aiming for modules. But by all means, I mean, you should try doing it like straight from the start. As long as you've got an accurate arty that you're confident you're going to hit the target. You'll see what happens with this shot later on in the video. Now, before we go any further, I should mention a mod that I use, and a mod that you're going to see in this tutorial. It's called Battle Assistant. It's been made legal on the European server. However, if you're watching this in America, Russia, Asia, you need to look that up for yourself to see if it's legal on that server, because mods have different legality based on the server. That being said, this is an amazing mod. Now, what you can see in this picture is I have it turned on. Like, last picture was without it turned on. This is with it turned on. It basically allows you to see more of a diagonal view. Basically, you see the travel path of your shell. Now you can see I'm going to hit the I-7, but maybe I want to kind of aim a little bit further back because I want to hit the fuel tanks. So this gives an amazing advantage in city maps. Yeah, as I say, I'm not sure if it's legal on all the servers. I know it's legal on my server. I don't know why, because this gives such a big advantage. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing this banned. But yeah, it's really good, and I'm going to be using it for this tutorial quite a lot. This is another example of an arty which is accurate enough that I could hit modules. So I'm aiming for the back of the tank because normally that's where the engine is. For E100 you want to be aiming at the side of the turret or the roof. For most other tanks you want to be hitting the back though. Now, the last thing before we hit into some gameplay is blind shots. Now, blind shots are a big thing of Arty. To be decent in Arty, you need to take them. Basically, if you've not got a target, you want to be firing. You want to be firing almost constantly as Arty because you've got such a long reload, but huge amounts of damage and splash. So hit last known enemy positions, hit the most likely spots, and I mean, you can see, like, from your shots, if you stay in arty view after firing, like, what I would normally do is I'd actually start moving because you need to move from counter, but I'll cover that in a second. I will start moving whilst, like, after I fired my shell, and I'm watching to see where my shell lands. In this picture, there is no explosion, but there's a black mark on the ground. That means that I have splashed the T95 that I was aiming for there. Now it's difficult to tell with splash and direct hits. No, it's forget that. It's difficult to tell between splash and non-hits. Direct hits will vanish. You won't see the explosion. But missed hits will explode, and splash hits will partially explode. Now you can see with this shot, this is an explosion. I missed the shot, but I believe I may have splashed the I-7 behind the rock. But I can't tell from that shot. This one, I definitely missed the target because there's a huge explosion. You can see things like going apart everywhere. I'll probably pause this at a bad point, but you can't see the smoke on this. Again, this was a non-hit. Probably did no splash damage, even though I was using GT's gold shells. But this next one, it's really hard to see in this next one. I'm going to have to use the footage to explain it after. But the shell disappears. It does not create an explosion, which means I scored a direct hit on the target I was aiming at. Now we're going to dive into some video. Now one thing I should say, you want to always move, like after firing, because counter arty is a thing. It's basically the enemy arty will look around for you, they'll see when you fire, they'll see your tracer, and they will try and counter you. They will try and shoot you from seeing your tracer, so you want to move from your last fired position. Here you can see me taking shots at targets in the middle of the map. This is a game that's not really anything special, but it's here to show that stationary targets like this are dead. So if you're playing against arty, never ever stay still or in the open. You always want to be in cover or moving. And you'll see I missed this next shot because I can't actually aim in. They're about to move out of my turning range, so I actually missed that shot. Now, secondly, I would say map awareness is very important. In this game, it was a city map. Now, playing a city map in arty is not as scary as people think. You just need to find a direct line where your shell can travel straight to the target without like anything in the way. So you need to keep an eye on your surroundings. You also want to stay safe, so like no direct shots unless you decide to go TD mode. Now, this was a jag target. I was firing AP shells in this arty. This is the Object 261. I aimed wrongly, but I got very lucky with the shot. The 261. Okay, I should explain this. So all arty have a maximum range, and they've got a gun, shell travel arc. So the gun carriage has the shortest range of the tier 10 arty, but the highest arc. The T92 has the same arc, but more range. The way this works is, the closer you are to maximum range, and with a higher arc, well, let's just say the closer you are to maximum range, the more the shell's going to drop behind cover. It's going to hit vertical, so you'll be able to hit more of the map. So yeah, with the gun arc, like the elevation, that also really matters, because your primary shells as arty are HE, which need to hit a flat target to do full alpha. That's the rules of tanks, so you want it to land vertical. The 261 does not land shells vertical because it's got a very poor elevation and a very, very big range. So it's quite hard to do any meaningful damage. HE shells are meant to be doing like 1600, 1800 on it. You will be incredibly lucky to hit those kind of numbers in the 261. You have to hit soft targets to do that. However, it's incredibly accurate, and doesn't have that much splash. So you don't need to rely on HE shells. It's got AP shells. Now, it can direct hit those AP shells, and that is important because you can actually fire AP shells and pen the front of the tank and do, like, AP shells won't vary in their damage. You're going to be doing around 1,000 with an AP shell. Like, never really anything big off the scale. You can also bounce them, so don't fire AP on the front of T110E3s. That's not going to work. But they're much more reliable than HE. However, the gun carriage plays in a completely different way. You want to be playing at maximum range because the shells are going to be more vertical. Like, the gun carriage basically makes it very hard to play against. Your shells will annoy people in the gun carriage because you'll have people who think they're in arty cover that will actually be hit. So it can hit weird things. For people playing against arty, it's important to note what arty you're playing against, and how much kind of elevation they might have on the gun, how much range, and sort of determine, okay, am I going to be able to stay safe in here? Because if you see a gun carriage on the enemy team, well, its weakness is that the shell takes a long time to hit. So if you're moving and being unpredictable, there's a good chance he's going to miss you. So yeah. Batch arty is different. Now, batch arty requires moving around, and I'm going to cover this in a second. It also has heat shells, which will bounce on, well, they'll auto bounce on certain angles. So you really want to be careful using those. I don't recommend using heat shells in the batch arty. So now that that's covered, let's continue with some footage. Now, this is a contrary to what I'm gonna say. I want to say you need to be like fully aimed in to hit the target most times. You can take a chance. I did there and it paid off. But as you can see here, I'm moving after every shot. I'm also moving up the map because I'm looking at the right side of the map and I'm realizing it's not really safe. And at this point, I would be dead by now if I hadn't moved up like I did. Now, I'm noticing the cap here. I noticed it a little bit too late. So I fire my HE shell because I've got splash. I've got bad splash in this arty, but I've got splash. It could have decapped. The enemy weren't sitting in the middle, basically. So this next game, I was trying to lead an object 268, and again, he's able to avoid arty. Well, actually, that's shell. Where the hell did that shell land? But he made it difficult for me by basically moving around. So yeah, if you're moving around, or if you're kind of being unpredictable or in cover, you are much harder to be hit. Again, if you're playing against arty, take into account what arty they have and the number. It may even be worth, like, if you're in a medium, going for him. Now, this shot, I was fine aiming against his engine, but he moved. He moved unpredictably, and I had a shot fully aimed in, and he moved unpredictably, and therefore I didn't hit him. I could have hit him earlier. I was taking a screenshot, to be honest. Yeah, this one, I led him backwards. You do have to lead shots a lot. I got it wrong a little bit, and I only hit him with splash damage on the front. Now, this is the target you want to see. T95 facing his side or rear to you. But he vanishes. But I'm judging by his speed that he's going back in that bush, so I take a guess shot. My shell doesn't land anywhere near where I aimed, and I didn't do... Well, I may have done splash damage still. But, yeah, this is proof that blind shots work. This is what happens when a shell connects. No explosion, like, nothing like that. That shows the shell has penetrated the tank. And I think that shell did a total of 1,000 damage when I looked at the off-battle results. I've got my replays jumbled up. That E75 is moving weirdly. Now I was framed on this spot, which you have to do in some arty. Basically because that was the last known position of a tank that was spotted. I decided I'm going to go for this E75 again. Because I'm not going to get the spot on the 113 quick enough. So I take the shot, and he stops just short of where I was going to hit. My mistake there, I didn't take the corner into account. Now, okay, so this, I'm going to actually pause it here. Now, this is a scenario that every single arty player wants to see. You've got 3 tanks lined up, so there's a good chance that if your shell lands short, you're going to hit a target. It might not be your intended target, but you're going to hit something. Also, if you're in an arty that has huge splash, which unfortunately in this game I'm not, you can like drop about like 1,000 on each target, and then the extra hit for direct hitting the one at the back. I would recommend, if you're facing a large like group of people grouped up, always aim for the back one, because they're the furthest out of cover, and the shell is going to travel through more space where the enemy tanks are in between. Now sometimes you might get it where like you're in a clam or you're in a GC and you see a large group of IS-7s like moving towards the base. The best thing to do is hit the tank in the middle. Lead the tank in the middle, just focus on that one tank with your shot. Make sure you've got gold loaded for that shot. Lead the middle tank, like, your entire focus on that one tank. And you try and hit him. Because if you hit that middle tank, you splash everything around. Good game, you've got a 3k damage shot. But if you slightly miss it, or overshoot, or undershoot, there's a good chance you're still going to get a direct hit and some huge splash damage, so that's always good. Let's carry on with some more footage. So here, I'm actually relocating away from the medium. That was on the 0 line, and it doesn't pay off, we lose the game. Now this one, this is the gun carriage's ability to hit behind a rock. I actually hit the rock on this one. Yeah. But yeah, the IS-7 disappeared, but I knew he couldn't go somewhere, so I was taking the blind shot. And I took blind shots at him like all the way through this game, and eventually I did hit him. The damage he's taken now was actually my blind shot, so yeah. I mean, you can see a lot of these shells, if you see an explosion like that, you didn't do splash damage. This is another blind shot I took on him. I was taking blind shots all the way through the game. Oh, actually no, I decided not to take that blind shot because I found a better target. So, aside on E3, that's always lovely to see. I didn't actually hit him. I got a splash hit, but 1,000 damage splash hit, probably taking out half his modules. This is another thing you want to see, the back of an IS-7. So I was waiting for my aim circle to zero in. Again I missed, that would have been a one shot, but still managed to hit the engine bay, and I believe I took out his engine in that game. This was a difficult one because I had to lead this guy and I had to predict where he was going, but I predicted right. Now to finish this off, I'm going to play an unedited replay of a game I had in the gun carriage whilst recording this. So in fact I'm pretty happy with this fight, well this game, because it got me the Stug 4, completed the mission at last. But yeah, I'm gonna basically be commentating this. So I decided to take up position in an unusual spot so that I don't have to risk being countered. And I'm in the gun carriage. I can hit quite a lot. It also means I can hit that corner if needed. Currently I'm backing up to try and get a good line on enemy tanks. If you want to make the shell land more vertical, bank your tank upwards. Right now I banked my tank downwards. That's not the right thing to do. So you want to do it so the front of your tank is pointing in the air. That makes the shell more acute, but it also means you can't hit things close to you. So here, this was a very minimal shot. I didn't feel confident enough to take it, because there was a risk of me hitting R and 103 as well. And it was a very marginal shot. However, I do see this guy, Father HE. I was surprised at that. That was a splash hit. Had that been a direct hit, that 50B would have been in garage by now. But you saw I couldn't hit the group because they were all in cover. I could hit the 50B because he wasn't in cover. Well, he extended a bit too far out. You're playing against a gun carriage. You need to find the tallest piece of cover in the entire world. Excuse my cough. So here I'm looking for arty shells. I'm actually trying to find a tracer to counter whilst I'm reloading. But now that my shell's reloaded, I'm going to be looking for another target. And you should do that if you've got a long reload. By all means, look for arty tracers, because if you can find them, and if you can work out if they're moving or not, you can get a free kill if they're not moving. This was another shot. It undershot. I probably had better targets on the map than the IS-3, to be frankly honest. But I saw a scenario where we were going to lose the medium. Now here I get screwed because my team lets a bat chat through. I try and ram because I'm really heavy. However, I used the frontal armour in this thing to great effect. I bounced a total of 2 shells off that bat chat because I angled the frontal armour so that the only thing he could hit was that 152mm angled front hull. Which in the gun carriage is actually really strong armour for an arty. But yeah, my team saved me there because I wasn't loaded and I couldn't do enough ram damage. Now this next shot this is typical arty. I feel sorry for this guy. He probably thought he was in cover. He probably thought that's like 3 damage. Bam, 1 shot. Now this is me being in an unpredictable spot. He probably expected me not to be able to hit him there because he probably expected me to be in a different spot than where I was. It gives me a good shot. I'm not sure if he's being sarcastic, but yeah. Then I'm waiting to reload. I'm looking for more targets. Frankly, looking at the enemy team on the map, my only targets are going to be here. Now, your priority should always be like the enemy arty if it's spotted, but there's a good chance that if the enemy's arty is spotted, they're going to be moved or dead before you can aim in. This was another lucky shot. So yeah, I didn't go for the arty here because I'm looking at our team. We've got a lot of tanks. Their arty can only derp 1 tank, and if he can only derp 1 tank, then there are so many other tanks that can finish the arty off. But yeah, I went for the medium because I saw it as the biggest threat at that point. Well, biggest threat and easiest to hit. See my who to target video. Now here, I really wanted to help this Jag Tiger. However, I was still reloading. Now, something I recommend you do, always like press R or F11, something that tells your allies that you're reloading. Also, tee up your target if you've got other arty in your team, or if there's a chance that your ally is going to be here, always tee up, because then they can move out of the way of the shell, which I teed up there, and he didn't back up because I had teed up, and as a result I didn't end up team killing him. I managed to hit like 300 on that last tank, so that was decent. But yeah, that was the end of the game. That was quite a decent game. That was made more decent by the one shot on the Tiger 2 and the hit on the Panther 8.8. That was quite a good lead. But yeah, it's sort of shown there were targets I couldn't hit in that game. There were targets I could hit. I showed a lot of people playing good against arty and a lot of people playing bad against arty. And you saw the people that were playing bad against arty, I capitalised because they allowed me to. So yeah, if you want to avoid arty fire, keep moving, stay in cover, use tool cover, and basically be as unpredictable as possible. Because arty are going to lead you, expecting you to be predictable, because most people are. Let's be honest. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you some other time. If you like this guide, remember to like, comment, subscribe. I might be doing individual tank videos in the future, like a guide of how to not suck in the E100, which there are a lot of bad players in E100, so I think that might be useful. So yeah, that sort of thing. I will see you guys later.